The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, I think we may have gotten our technical issues worked out here. I'm sure hoping. If you can hear me talking and see our screen, if you would just let us know by typing something in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen or into the questions box, that'll just confirm and let us know that you can hear us. We may be able to open it up so that attendees can hear each other as well. It always seems like with this webinar technology, we get feedback and audio issues that way, so we'll see. Maybe with a smaller group today we'll be able to do that. But again, if you can hear me, just type me a quick message here in the chat box. Okay, five attendees so far. And still waiting and hoping that somebody can hear us. Oh, good. Okay, thank you so much. We have at least one person confirming. I'm assuming that means that we're set up correctly for everybody else. So perfect. We will go ahead and begin. And this is the Shelter Assistance Fund, SAF, calendar year 2014 competition, application reviewer orientation webinar today. Okay, thanks so much for joining. We really appreciate your time today. Just a quick notes about today's webinar. We will record it. We think technology is cooperating so far and that will actually work, and we'll be able to make that available to everybody afterwards. So if you're not able to stay on today, that's okay, and it'll be available for you later. And we'll also have the PowerPoint slides available to reviewers. And today, let's see, I'll be presenting. This is Amber Lewis at the Iowa Finance Authority, as well as my colleague, Judy Hartman, also of the Iowa Finance Authority. So we have a few topics that we intend to go over today. We will look at what is the Shelter Assistance Fund, or SAF. We'll look at what is the SAF competition for. We'll look at who applied and for how much. We will look at how does the application system work, and how does the review process work, and then we will take a look at the actual application system. I'm going to do a quick check here to make sure nobody's having any audio or visual issues. If you do at any time come up with questions during the presentation, please feel free to enter them into the box at the right, or if you want to send us a quick note through the chat function, that works too, and we'll stop periodically and just check in with everybody. Okay, what is that? Turning it over to Judy.
Hi, everybody. This is Judy, and I'm going to go over what SAF is and the purpose of the SAF program. SAF is the acronym for Shelter Assistance Fund, and this is a state-funded program that supports the cost of operations of group home shelters for the homeless and domestic violence shelters. And you see on our slide there the web address for the information about the Shelter Assistance Program. The basic facts about SAF are that it's a state of Iowa program, and it's funded by a portion of the proceeds from the real estate transfer tax. 5% of that is transferred to the Iowa Finance Authority for use with this program. In the past, it's ranged between $600,000 and $1 million a year. It's governed by the State of Iowa Administrative Rules at Chapter 265, Section 41. It is similar to the Federal Emergency Solutions Grant Program, or ESG. Prior to 2012, it was much more similar. In 2012, the Department of Housing and Urban Development changed the federal ESG rules significantly, so the programs diverged. Eligible SAF activities are a provision of normal operating expenses for programs providing services to homeless individuals or families, using the homeless definition from HUD, including staff salaries, maintenance, insurance, utilities, and a provision for essential services, provision for homeless prevention activities, administrative activities, and all other documented normal operating expenses, usually categorized under 3 broad activities: essential services, operations, and homeless prevention. What is this competition for? This competition is for calendar year 2014. The application period closed last Friday, October 18th. Eligible applicants were city governments, county governments, and private nonprofit agencies. It's a competitive grant and only 1 application per agency. If a nonprofit agency, they must be recognized independently by the Secretary of State's office. The grant awards and amounts. The award period will be from January 1 to December 31, 2014. We have approximately $900,000 available. We anticipated between 20 and 30 awards, and the average of the award will be between $20,000 and $40,000 each. What is the competition for? Essential services. An example of essential services is case management, child care, education services, employment assistance, and job training, outpatient health services, legal services, life skills training, mental health services, substance abuse treatment, transportation of the client, and services for special populations. Shelter operations, examples of that would be maintenance, rent, security, fuel, equipment, insurance, utilities, food, furnishings and supplies, administrative activities, and staff salaries. Homelessness prevention examples are rental assistance, housing relocation and stabilization services. Financial assistance costs are short to medium term rental arrears, rental application fees, security deposits, last month's rent, utility deposits, utility payments, and moving costs. Services costs are for housing search and placement, housing stability case management, mediation, legal services, and credit repair. SAF and the Iowa Statewide Emergency Solutions Grant. The Iowa Statewide Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG, is another source of funding for similar activities. It's also managed by the Iowa Finance Authority. Federal ESG rules are more restrictive. Program requirements are stricter, there's more documentation required, more limitations on who can be served. I've already held a competition and made ESG awards for the 2014 calendar year. Only those agencies that did not receive an ESG award were eligible to apply for the SAF program. Some agencies choose to wait and only apply for SAF. With more demanding compliance requirements of ESG, some agencies decide that SAF is a better fit for their programs, even though there's less money overall and SAF usually involves smaller grants. Who applied and for how much? This year's applications, there was 38 submitted. And the total requested funds was $1,654,935. Now, who applied as compared to last year? Awards supported the current 2013 calendar year There were 39 submitted applications last year, 28 awards total, 27 initially plus one later, for a total of $930,776 that were available. $1,329,826 was requested. The range of awards were: 3 agencies received the high amount of $75,000. 1 agency received a low amount of $16,000. The average award was $33,242.
Okay, and we're going to move on to how does the actual application system work here in just a moment. I'm going to pause and just make sure we don't have any questions yet. Okay, very good. Okay, moving on to how does the application system work, and looking in particular at the application section. So it is an online system, and we'll actually take a look at that in just a couple minutes and go through what it actually looks like as a reviewer. There were several sections. We started out with the applicant profile, which is just basic information about the applicant. Project design and competition priorities is next. Experience and capacity is another section. Community partnerships and need. We also have performance, and we have budget and grants management. And then at the end, we had a section for exhibits for agencies to upload various documents. The items here with a little star mean that they will be scored by our external review team. And so we just have a couple applicant profile. Really, there's nothing to score there. It's just stuff like address and contact information and summary of the project. And then the budgets and grants management, ISA staff will score that. That is just taking a look and making sure that the budget items requested are eligible within the grant rules. And then grants management is looking at what is their history of grant utilization in the past for either a Shelter Assistance Fund Award or the related Emergency Solutions Grant Award. We want to be giving or allowing funding to agencies that have a demonstrated capacity to utilize the funds for eligible activities and to help people who need it. So some agencies will request grants, and then it turns out that they don't have the capacity to actually spend the funds in an eligible way. And so we track that, and that impacts future applications. So again, ISA staff has that information, so we'll just review that. And I think it's probably only 10 points total that ISA staff is going to review compared to an overall 109 points, I believe. And then the exhibits, that's just kind of threshold items, making sure that agencies have uploaded the required documents, several of those being financial documents, like the recent audit and the Form 990. Okay, moving on. Oh, and here, I think I jumped ahead of myself here. We have a description of the scored sections. You can follow along all of that I was just rambling on about here. So the application is of 100 regular points plus 9 bonus points. So back to that project design and competition priorities. We have 20 points for project design, and competition priorities is 9 bonus points. The project design is focused on who does the project serve and how does it offer those services. For competition priorities, it's asking questions. Does the program offer services that fit with designated competition priorities, such as services for families with children, services for veterans, and services in a rural area? And those competition priorities fit in with the priorities that we laid out for the Emergency Solutions Grant competition as well. Trying to be a little consistent there. Experience and capacity, 24 points for that section, and that's kind of more general agency questions, not so much about the program being offered, but what is the overall experience and capacity of the agency offering services, to include things like fundraising, staffing, training, grants management, financial management, and board oversight. And community and partnerships and need, that's 26 points. Questions related to how is the agency participating in community planning regarding homelessness assistance services. And regarding need in that section, there's a little more than within the ESG application about looking at the programs and agencies that are already funded in a particular area and trying to fund agencies and services that complement those existing programs rather than overlapping too much. Performance is 20 points, and that's about what is the agency or project's record of performance outcomes, what evidence is there that the project or approach will be effective. And for that section, we require agencies to upload a report from the Homeless Management Information System, or HMIS system, if they are current users of that system. That's our fairly standard statewide system that many or most agencies providing homelessness assistance services are using to track their data on client utilization and outcomes. If agencies are not currently using that system, there were some other options within the application to upload some different reports to get at that same kind of information about performance outcomes. The last section, budget and grants management, as I mentioned before, 10 points, and that one is the only one scored by IFA staff. Looking at is the budget reasonable and sufficient to describe how the funds will be utilized, and has the agency demonstrated sufficient capacity and use of the funds to successfully manage future grants. Okay, and moving on to a HAP system overview. Our online system that we use for the applications, we call the HAP system. That's just kind of a carryover from when we used to refer to these programs together as a homeless assistance program with SAF and DSG. So that is the Iowa Finance Authority's online system. All applicants use it to submit their applications, and then we use the same system for reviewers to log in and score applications. Just a bit about how the system works for applicants. Applicants enter their information at any time and can save it and come back to it later. And at the end, they hit submit and receive a confirmation page and email. At that point, they can no longer make changes, but they can view their submitted application. And so at this point, all our applicants have submitted their applications. The competition period closed last Friday. So we are ready to begin a review process. So moving on to how the review process works. And we'll stop here for just a moment and see if any questions have come in. Okay, I think we're good so far. We will continue to move on. Okay, accessing the HAP system. So we have a link here, and again, I'll be sending out the slides and have the recording available later. So you'll have this link, and I'll also follow by email so you have it handy. It can also be found from the Iowa Finance Authority homepage. At the top of our homepage, there are several drop-down lists for our homelessness pages and programs. And if you find one of those, then you can easily find the link to the Shelter Assistance Fund on the left. And from there, there's a link to access the system. Okay, so as a reviewer, you'll actually need to set up a personal account just like our applicants do. And there are instructions to create an account if you're not sure how to do that. It's pretty straightforward, though. And there's a link that you can follow here if you need to do that. If you are a reviewer who has been a reviewer for us in the past, or even if you have submitted an application for a different program in the past. Likely you already have an active account, and that's great. You can use your same account with the username and password. And the way we'll handle that is we just, IFA staff can go in and set you up with access as a reviewer for this particular application. If you are creating an account new, then you just need to email Josh or myself to let us know your username once you've set up your account. And then, again, we go in and assign you the reviewer status, and it's real quick and simple, and that just sets you up so that you can see all the applications and review them. Okay, and who is on our review team? This is the external reviewer team in addition to our IFA staff. And so we have Al Axine, who is the current chair of the Iowa Council on Homelessness, and who has been a reviewer for us before, and we certainly appreciate that. We have Josh Bronsing from the Iowa Senate Republican Caucus staff. Christy Kinganelli, from Director of Shelter House, and also a member of the Iowa Council on Homelessness. Jane Erickson, who's reviewed for us before from the Department of Aging and also the liaison to the Iowa Council on Homelessness. Donna Phillips, also reviewed for us before from the Office of the Attorney General, Crime Victim Assistance Division, and also on the Iowa Council on Homelessness. Ruth Randleman is mayor of the city of Carlisle and also a member of the Iowa Finance Authority Board of Directors. And Brad Richardson is from the University of Iowa School of Social Work, National Resource Center for Family Center Practice. He's a reviewer for us, and we really appreciate that. And then Corey Houchenswit, I hope I'm saying that last name right, but really appreciate Corey joining our review team as well. He's from the Affordable Housing Network in Cedar Rapids. So eight total external reviewers this time around. We definitely recognize it's a big investment of time, so we really appreciate it. As far as the reviewer sections, we have gone through and assigned some tentative sections that we think will work out well for our different reviewers. And so we'll have 2 external reviewers for each of the 4 main scored sections. And so what this means is that each reviewer reviews every single application, all 38 applications, but just their sections. And so we do it this way to try to be as fair as possible, so that because every reviewer just scores a little differently, some are going to be just tougher in general and some maybe a little more lenient. And so having the same reviewer score, the same section for every application to us seems like the way to be as consistent as we can between the applications. So project design and competition priorities, Chrissy, Kinganelli, and Corey, we've matched them up there. Hopefully that will work out well. Experience and capacity, Al Axine and Josh Bronsing. Community partnerships and needs, Donna and Ruth. A great team for us before in that section. And performance outcomes, Jane Erickson and Brad Richardson. If you see this and you have concerns about your assignment, please let me know, and we can see if we can make another arrangement there. Okay, conflict of interest. We have a bit of sort of legal, official language there about conflict of interest. It is important that we avoid conflict of interest, and rather than reading through this first part, there's a form actually that we'll ask everybody to sign. So I'll skip reading the fine print there, but it is the responsibility of the reviewer to notify IFA staff if there is a possible conflict of interest with any individual applications. And so that's what that form that we ask everyone to sign will be about. And please, if you just have any questions or are not sure if you might have a conflict of interest, please contact us and we'll talk through that. And so I'll follow up this webinar today by sending out that conflict of interest declaration, and then that can just be emailed, faxed, or mailed back to us once it's signed. And no problem there, we'll just arrange alternate scoring for those application sections. Okay, let's see, scoring applications. Just some kind of helpful tips and hints there. The applicant profile section at the very beginning contains a brief overview of each project, which can be helpful just to provide a general context, since again you're not reviewing the entire application for anyone, although you're welcome to. You're welcome to read it. It's certainly open to everybody, but we don't ask everyone to score the entire application. So the applicant profile section, a brief summary can be helpful just to kind of get a sense of overall what that applicant offers. You'll want to note how many points each question is worth because they are all different. So you can find out how many points each question is worth in parentheses after the question. And you want to consider, is the answer complete, clear, specific? Does it cite evidence where applicable? Is it compelling? If you do score less than total points on any question or in any section, please do enter your comments at the bottom of the scoring page. There's a box in each section to enter comments, and that's very, very helpful for the applicants, especially if they're losing points. So we really, really emphasize that. I know it takes more time, but it is so important, and it's really helpful to the final discussion, too, with all the other reviewers. And if 2 reviewers on a certain section have different scores, it's helpful to be able to compare the comments and come to some general consensus. You might want to read through a few answers briefly before you get started scoring. That can provide a sense of how they compare in general. The scores and comments will be public records that are available to applicants that request it afterwards, so please just keep that in mind when you're making your comments. And the team will discuss the scores and comments for each application individually at the final reviewer meeting. So we have allowed several hours for that meeting. We did it this way at our last ESG scoring process, and that worked out really well. It was great to have that reviewer feedback and discussion at the end. So we'll be going for something similar this time. And then we, of course, always welcome feedback on how we can improve the application and scoring process. So at any time when you're involved in scoring, if you have comments for us, please send them. Appreciate it. Okay, navigating the system for scoring. So you're going to log into the HAP system. All applications are listed on the main page. There are some drop-down boxes at the top to filter the applications, and you can select review status. And to select each application for review, you're going to right-click on Edit on the right-hand side, and that'll open a new tab. You're going to select your section from the list at the left. You're going to score and make comments, and then close out that application when done. And you just want to check and make sure that the system is saving your scores. There's a link to save and exit. And so I know I'm going through this part really quickly, but we'll actually take a look at the system and you'll be able to see how this works in a moment here. And just a note, you should have special review status, which will enable you to score, but not to actually change any application answers. You don't need to worry about accidentally clicking in a box and changing what the applicant's written. The system shouldn't allow you to do that. And if at any time you're finding that the system does seem to allow it, please let us know. That shouldn't be the way it works. Okay, as far as schedules of how the process will work here, of course we have our orientation webinar today. After today, it's open to begin reviewing at any time. Again, you'll want to have that reviewer status, but that should just take a moment and then you'll be set up to begin. And we want to have all the reviews done by November 12th. And that gives us just a couple days after the reviews are completed to collect all the comments and prepare for our final reviewer in-person meeting, which is scheduled for Monday, November 18th, from 9 o'clock a.m. until 2 o'clock p.m. So we think that date works for everybody, so hopefully that continues to be the case. Okay, as far as that date and the logistics, so it's here at IFA. Our address 2015 Grand Avenue in Des Moines, and we're just, let's see, I guess we're just west of downtown Des Moines, and we're across the street from Central Campus High School. There's free parking available on site for visitors. For lunch, okay. We will provide brown bag lunches from in the bag, and we've got a few options here listed on your screen. Turkey, ham roast beef, vegetarian, Pauline pan salad, or peanut butter and grape jelly. So let us know what you'd like for lunch, and we can arrange that in advance. And as far as travel, we have a couple people coming in from Iowa City and Cedar Rapids, I believe. Reimbursement for travel expenses will be provided at the state of Iowa standard rate of 39 cents per mile. And so the day of your meeting, in order to submit a reimbursement request, we will just need your Social Security number, address, and number of miles traveled. And you can also, if you don't want to share your Social Security number, that way you can submit the form directly to our accounting department as well, and that works just fine also. Okay, so again, just I guess the review about that meeting on November 18th. We'll look at each application individually. We'll compare scores and we'll discuss comments. If there's any, especially a large discrepancy between the scores from different reviewers in any section, then we'll spend a little more time there and hopefully come to some general agreement about an appropriate score for each section, for each application. And that meeting will also be an opportunity for the review team to make funding recommendations. And so we take that pretty seriously, pretty important responsibility of the review team. And so in the past, we used to do more of an approach where we would fund almost all applications, but with just a smaller amount for each applicant. We have moved a little away from that, knowing that some of the responsibilities of managing these grants have increased, some of the costs of managing the grants have increased for each applicant, so to make it worth it for each applicant, and just to try to foster, I guess, strong capacity of the agencies that we are providing funding to, we have moved a little bit away from that approach and more towards one of providing fewer grants but with larger amounts each. So that's something that we really will really take seriously, the recommendations of our review committee. From there, those funding recommendations do go to the Iowa Finance Authority Board of Directors, who makes official approval for the awards. And so that will happen at their December board meeting. Okay, and we are going to actually take a look at the application system, so it will look familiar to you when you go in and log in. Before I do that, I'm just going to take a look and see if anybody has submitted questions at this point. And so if you have any, it would be a good time. It'll take me just a moment to pull up our system. So if you do have any questions, this would be a good time to go ahead and enter them for us, and we will address those before we leave today. Okay, so as far as actually getting to the system, it's not going to look quite the way it does when I get there. We have kind of a different internal way to access it. But once we get in there, I think it should look just about the same. So bear with me for just a moment here, please. Okay, so I think we're pretty much here. This is about the way it'll look once you log in with your new account. And so at the top are these bars where I talked about you can filter for different competitions. And so you'll want to make sure that application type is Shelter Assistance Fund CY 2014 over here on the right. And the status should be review. And you'll see here that we had 38 applications over 2 pages. And here at the top, oh, sorry about that. Hopefully we're not having audio problems here. I just had our phone acting up there for a moment. At the top here, you can sort by different items here. So a good way to sort is by the name of the provider organization. That helps to keep everybody kind of things all in the same order. So that'll just sort by alphabetical order here. So starting with the Area Substance Abuse Council at the top, when you want to actually go in and you're ready to review it and score it, I'm going to take a look at the button on the right. It's blue, called Edit. And what you can do is you can left or right click there. I think it's easier to right click because that enables me to open it in the new tab. And then you can see my new tab at the top here. You just need to click on that. And then you get to the actual application. This is what it looks like. And on the left here are the different sections. And this is just what it looked like for our applicants as well, for the most part. So let's say your section is experience and capacity. You're just going to click on that. And since I don't have the same kind of review status that everybody else has, I don't show the box, I don't believe, here. Let's see. Oh, no, I do. Okay, so this is what it'll look like for everybody, for all of you on the webinar as well. So here we have the first question. Enter the agency's total budget for the current fiscal year, and just a quick entry there. Since this one doesn't have points associated with it, this is just a quick number they've got to enter here. There's no box to enter a score, but if you go down to 2, then it kind of relates back to number 1 about the fundraising to support that number. And that's the first one that's actually scored. We've got lots of information on this particular application. And so down here on in the box here, it says out of 3 points. And you'll want to read through this answer here and then enter your score for this question. Moving on down, and you enter your score in each of the boxes. And then at the very bottom of this page is where you'll see the box for scoring comments. So it can be helpful when you're making your scoring comments to refer to which question you're making a comment for. To say question 9, and then enter your comment for that. So they all just, all the comments should be in this one box here at the bottom. And then when you're done, it'll give you the total for, out of the total that you scored it out of the possible 24 points for that section. And then when you're done there, you'll want to save, or save and exit. I don't think I entered anything here, so that won't change anything. And then you can just close out that tab, and then it's right back to the same place that you started. It has all the same sorting that you might have done before, and you can just move on to the next one. So I would say do leave yourself plenty of time. It's helpful to start early so you kind of get a sense of how long it takes you to review your section, and so that you're planning ahead and not trying to kind of cram them in the last day or two, because that can just be sort of dizzying and very difficult to sort of keep them all separate at that point. So hopefully there's plenty of time, so it's not too much of a burden each particular day. So hopefully this was somewhat clear about how the system works. I think we have reached just about the end. There we go. Okay, so just a bit on reminders for next steps. So the first thing you want to do is you want to set up your system access, create your account in the HAP system, or check to make sure you can access your existing account. Let us know when this is done, and we'll set your status to reviewer. Check to make sure that it worked and that you can see all the applications when you log back into the system. And second, you're going to want to sign the SAF reviewer conflict of interest form and send that back to us. You want to email us your sandwich choice, and then you are free to begin reviews. If at any time you have questions, please feel free to contact me at amber.lewis@iowa.gov. or 515-238-1930, or Josh McRoberts, josh.mcroberts@iowa.gov, or 515-725-4884, or Judy Hardman is always also happy to help, although we don't have her listed here. Okay, so I think we have officially made it to the end. I'd be happy to take any questions. And I think we have at least one here. Okay, question, how will we receive our username and password? And that is when you go in to create your new account, the system will prompt you to do that. And so once it does that, that's when you want to just email us and let us know, hey, I have my username now, and I'm ready for you to set my access to reviewer status. And again, I'll follow up after this webinar, which is a quick link that you'll need to access in order to set up your account. Okay, and I think that's the only question, so at least so far. I'll stay on here. We'll stay on here for a couple more minutes just in case anybody else has additional questions. Really appreciate it. Again, I know this takes a lot of time, and it's just a a really important contribution to our program. So thank you very much. And as I said before, we'll make the slides and the recording available later on. So anytime you can refer back to it if you have questions. And Judy, anything else you would add? Or?
No, I have nothing.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll be in touch.